Well, as we've said, President Trump is right now on his way to Buenos Aires, Argentina, where the world will be watching as he meets with Chinese President Xi Jinping to talk trade. Our next guest says the meeting is unlikely to produce a major trade deal, but he does expect Trump and Xi to announce a structure for future talks and a temporary pause on tariffs. That seems pretty prescient. Clayton Allen joins us now. He's Vice President of Special Situations at Hite Capital Markets. Clayton, you probably saw that Wall Street Journal report that the two parties are planning to do just that, probably at least suspend or delay the imposition of that increased tariff on Chinese goods. Is that indeed the first step here? I mean, does anything substantive come out of Saturday night?
I don't think we should expect anything really substantive. I mean, the first step in all of this is going to be getting both sides in the room to talk, and finding a way to pause the next round of tariffs is really kind of a crucial first move.
So, Clayton, when you talk about a pause, though, who can pause the longest? Does President Trump have that card in his pocket, or does Xi Jinping have that card?
You know, that's a very difficult question to answer. I think right now it might tilt more towards Trump. I think Trump does have a little bit of the upper hand. Chinese have certainly taken a beating if you look at the performance of their markets over the last several months. I know that there's been some data that indicates that Chinese businesses are bearing a larger portion of the tariff costs than U.S. consumers or businesses are right now. So I would have to give Trump actually a little bit of the edge here.
Now, our Dan Roberts, who's on set with us here, was earlier saying both of these leaders are looking for a positive spin coming out of this. What would that look like? What would, even if it's just sort of in name or in image only, what would a win for both look like?
You know, I think the easiest way to say what a win looks like is to go back to when Trump met with EU President Juncker. That turned out to be a positive press conference for both of them. It made them both look productive. U.S. markets responded favorably. Granted, the long-term impact of that deal was pretty minimal. We didn't get any really concrete concessions made, but I think a positive outcome for both sides would be the ability to have a press conference together and say, we've agreed on a framework for talks, ensuring that the Chinese have a seat at the negotiating table and making sure that the U.S. is not going to suddenly dump another basket of tariffs on them.
Well, Clayton, though, but won't markets, won't investors see through that? It's almost like your boyfriend or your girlfriend saying, I still want to date you, but I want to date other people. I mean, they'll call the bluff, won't they?
I think they will. I think you're going to see markets, if that is the result, which we expect it to be, and granted, you know, no one's fully prescient. I think we're making our best informed estimate. I think markets would, to a large degree, see through some of that. You'd see markets rally through the end of the year, but unless you see some additional steps beyond that, whether that's, you know, a rough framework for additional Chinese purchases of U.S. energy or ag or aerospace products, or some continuation of Chinese moves to increase IP protections, unless there's some follow-on step, I think whatever positive moves the market makes are not going to be sort of all that long-lasting. I think it's going to be a short-term rally.
Hey, Clayton, it's Kevin Kelly from Benchmark Investments. One of the sectors that got hit the worst recently was the semiconductor sector, and that's been a spot where you've had companies talk about the Chinese trying to steal their intellectual property. Micron comes to mind. Do you see anything happening in certain sectors that could benefit from any trade deal, whether it is the semiconductors or some other space that could benefit if a trade deal does get done?
I think your biggest beneficiaries are going to be obviously semiconductors. I think also a pause in trade tensions, the kind of guarantee that we're not going to see tariffs on the next $267 billion, in the next couple of months, obviously benefits companies like Apple, Walmart, Adidas, Nike, any consumer brands that so far haven't been hit as heavily or hit at all in some cases. So yes, I certainly think those companies would benefit. I think the other big beneficiary would be U.S. ag interests. Any sort of pause in the trade tensions should raise hopes that we're going to get to a place where those retaliatory tariffs against soybean and pork exports could be lifted. And those have been hugely damaging to U.S. ag producers, family farms, and by extension, larger ag companies that are publicly traded.
All right, Clayton, thank you so much. We'll see how it turns out this weekend. Clayton Allen is Vice President of Special Situations, at Hite. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.